How can black and orange go unseen in a place of vertical green? The world's most immense panthera can hide among the themata. Though it likes meat held up by hooves, you may have a taste it approves. It's a gross thought and not so nice, but please take this piece of advice. Avoid tiger gastronomy in life, death, and taxonomy. Welcome back to Life, Death, and Taxonomy. It's your 30 minutes of interesting animal information. I'm Joe.
And I'm Carlos.
Thank you to Cassie for the creation of our theme song. To hear more of Cassie's music, please search Cassie Michelle on YouTube or Spotify.
And thank you to Johanna for the creation of this week's artwork. To check that out, you can follow us. You can visit us at our home on the web at ldtaxonomy.com. And a very special thank you to our patrons, to Tristan Taylor, Jesse Raspolich, Carol Raspolich, and Richard Kaspar. Thank you so much for your support. It's greatly appreciated. Thanks for helping us keep the lights on.
And today we're talking about the specter of the Sundarbans, but more on that later.
Then I know what I'm not talking about. I'm going to cross that out of my notes. Yeah. We don't share notes beforehand. I don't know if anybody knows this, but we know kind of general, like what the major fact and general info are going to be, but we're just off the cuff, you know? We're talking about the tiger today. We're doing another famous animal. Every once in a while, like mostly we do all these, more obscure animals, or at least animals you knew but had these obscure traits. But today we're doing one of a household name.
Mm-hmm.
Probably one of the most famous animals.
Yeah. It's gotten to whenever you see a mural of the Ark, of Noah's Ark, they're usually involved.
Now with kids, I see like Noah's Ark is a huge thing in all the books and little kids' TV shows. There's always a narwhal. Why?
Really? That's weird.
Why is there a narwhal?
They're on the Ark? Or
no,
just in the water near the Ark?
Just in the water around the Ark. Why is there a narwhal in the Middle East? What is happening here? It's just funny, because there aren't too many animals that start with N for all the alphabet fun that the kids have. So narwhal is just always there.
Newt?
Sometimes it's newt, but most of the time, at least in my experience, it's been narwhal.
North American mockingbird?
No, that's a technicality, and you also can't have more than one. You're looking for one word animals names. Narwhal, newt. Anyway, we're talking about tigers. Also known as, and these are all courtesy of Bibby, or these two, Tigger Me Gizzards and the Fast and the Furious.
Nice.
But honorable mentions are Daniel Tiger, Tony Tiger, Peter Parker, Go Get 'Em Tiger.
Peter Parker is a tiger. One of the most famous tigers.
Yes. There are many more, but Daniel and Tony are and Peter are on my mind a lot because I like Frosted Flakes. I like Spider-Man, and I loathe Daniel Tiger.
No.
I do like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, but that's
okay. So the Daniel Tiger cartoon comes from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
Yeah, they even sing the same songs, and there's Trolley and King Friday and Prince Wednesday and all that stuff. So a lot of the same characters, but it's just a kid show, but he's the Caillou meme, where he's actually like this really entitled, spoiled brat.
Because he has to learn a lesson every week.
But like also everyone caters to him. So there's like one point where he has a duck toy, and I'm gonna get it. I mean, we can get into the lore, but he has a duck toy that he thinks is really cool, and he wants to show Prince Wednesday, and he's like, "Look how cool my duck toy is. Let's play with it." And Prince Wednesday's like, "I mean, I don't really want to play with it." And then Daniel Tiger's like, "That's not nice. Has anyone said they don't like your toy before?" And then the teacher comes and says, "Prince Wednesday, why did you like? You told Daniel you didn't like his toy. Now that wasn't very kind, now was it? Like, what did Prince Wednesday do? He just doesn't want to play with the stupid duck toy." It's Daniel who's taking this way too personally. It's a toy. If you are insulted because somebody doesn't like what you like, then that's a you problem, my friend.
That's true. And it would be the better lesson.
Yeah, but nope. It's Prince Wednesday's fault for not being kind. He didn't even say he didn't like it. He's just like, "I don't want to play with this toy. It's not." And he's like, "But it's fun." It's like, "It's not fun to me." He didn't say, I hate your duck and I hate you too, Daniel Tiger. But apparently that's what he meant. Anyway, all I know is that there's so much to explore when you're outside. And that's all I really have to say on the matter.
Well, speaking of so much to explore.
Let's taxonomize this.
Yes.
It's in a kingdom you know, love, and are in. Animalia. Phylum, Chordata. It's got a spine. Class is Mammalia. Order, let me hear you say it. Carnivora.
A-V-O.
Nope, you're close. There is a V. And an A. The suborder is Feliforma, means it looks like a cat. The family is Felidae, means it is a cat.
It's a good explanation.
The genus is Panthera, means it's a big cat. And the species is Tigris, which means it's a tiger.
And taxonomically, there's some interesting news, I guess you could say. It's not necessarily breaking news, but we used to think that tigers, probably when we were kids, we used to think that there were like 8 subspecies of tiger. And now new studies have suggested that there are only 2 subspecies of tiger. The differences were not different enough between like the main tigers you would find in India and then the Siberian tiger. Like genetically, they are pretty much the same, and anatomically, they're pretty much the same. They're just a little bit bigger in Siberia. So they've consolidated a lot of the subspecies.
Yeah, I mean, and then we get into like what makes a species its own distinct species, and that is an ongoing debate among taxonomists. Because I mean, I would say it's sexual exclusion. Like,
it's even more granular when it comes to subspecies.
Yeah, and it's like, why have subspecies? You can have regional variants, like
which you could argue that there's regional variance between the Indian and the Siberian tigers, at least in terms of size, because the one that lives on the islands, Sumatra, is it a Sumatran tiger? I forget which one.
Yeah, there's Sumatran tiger.
But the island tiger is like smaller. That's what its main difference is. It's much smaller, like half the size.
Yeah, but like a Chihuahua and a Great Dane are the same species, same subspecies. They're dogs. They're just different breeds of the same dog.
Right.
So there's Panthera.
That's a little unfair.
There's
breeds are different.
There's Panthera tigris, which is the one they've grouped together this one, and that includes the Bengal tiger, the Caspian tiger, the Siberian tiger, the South China tiger, the Indo-Chinese tiger, and the Malayan tiger. And then the second subspecies is Panthera tigris sondaica, or sondaica. And that's the Javan tiger, which is also an island tiger. The Bali tiger, which is also an island tiger. And then the Sumatran tiger. So these are all island guys. And the Sumatran tiger is the one that we have at the Jacksonville Zoo. We have 2 Sumatran tigers at the zoo. And we just went this last weekend, and it was a rare treat because the tiger was like right up against the glass. Just
nice.
kind of chilling out, not even sleeping, just kind of like looking around and licking himself. Usually it's like way off in the distance and sleeping, and it's like, oh, I can kind of see a little bit of orange back there. I saw a tiger today. But here it was like you could just see it in all its glory. And it's a huge animal, but to think that it's not even the biggest tiger. These guys are scary.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's Panthera tigris or Panthera tigris sondaica. But since we're in the
we've
business
all
of
seen the murals. Oh, okay. Keep going.
the murals,
Never mind. I was thinking we were going into the description, and I was going to say we all see the murals. We don't need to know.
yeah, we'll just skip that. But for now, let's go to my favorite part of the show, since we're in the business of naming things. Critter groups. We're back. It's time for the part of the show where I ask you, Joe, a question, and that question is the same every time. What is the name of a group of this animal, or what is the term of entry, or what is the collective noun? If you were unlucky enough to see a group of tigers, or lucky enough, depending on where you are and what your position is. So if you, Joe, were fortunate or unfortunate enough to come across a group of tigers, would you say it's A, a streak of tigers, B, a stripe of tigers, C, a strength of tigers, or D, a strike of tigers? Streak, stripe, strength, strike.
Stripe is stripe. It's stripe. Final answer, stripe.
Close. Incorrect, though. The answer is streak. It's a streak of tigers.
When I first heard streak, I was like, that's probably it. But then you said stripe, and that's also a good one.
I like stripe a lot more than streak. If that makes you feel any better.
Yeah. They do streak all the time, though.
Yeah, they are.
They are always
constantly
running
naked.
around naked.
That is, yeah. They're one of the most lewd animals, except for the fact that all animals are naked.
Tied with all.
right there with
Except for
every animal. That doesn't work.
Except for primates and sometimes dogs and sometimes cats that sometimes wear clothes.
Yeah, chimpanzees with like those pinwheel hats on. Less lewd than the tiger.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Okay. So is there anything we need to know about the way it looks?
So yeah, it's a streak of tigers. Let's get into the description. So in case you are new to Earth, or you have just escaped an underground cult in which you could not leave,
look at pictures,
some sort of basement,
Noah's Ark,
or look at pictures of Noah's Ark. It wasn't one of those kinds of Noah's Ark cults.
Imagine like getting hit in the head, forgetting everything, total amnesia, and getting to learn as an adult what a tiger is.
I'd be more.
That'd be pretty special.
I'd be way more weirded out by everything in the ocean and giraffes than a tiger. It's like, oh, this is like I've other cats, and then this is a big cat, and it happens to be orange. But like giraffes are, what is happening there? And then the ocean is just a terrifying dimension of craziness.
I mean, there's a reason that giraffes and tigers are on the murals all the time. There's a majesty about them, especially tigers.
Yeah, and they're
dangerous. They're beautiful. They're big. There's lots to love about a tiger.
Yeah, they cut a distinct silhouette.
Yes.
So it's a giant cat. In fact, tigers are the largest cat. Mm-hmm. The largest of the big cats. Bigger than lions, bigger than jaguars and all that stuff. Bigger than Maine Coons. They are covered in their distinct orange fur with vertical black stripes. Its belly and underside is white, or are they white? There are some color variations. Some have a golden hue. Some are entirely white with black stripes. Some are entirely white with no stripes, or just white tigers, which are really cool. And the Miami Zoo, or Zoo Miami, or whatever they want to call it, they at least they used to have a white tiger, and I remember seeing it as a kid and thinking it was really cool. However, most of these are extinct. They are very rare now. And they're not subspecies. They're just pigment anomalies.
So they're not extinct so much as like there aren't any of them.
What is the
genetic
difference?
variation hasn't happened.
Oh,
Because
the
extinct
species
means
is
they're
not
supposed
extinct.
to be here.
But
Yeah.
they're that genetic abnormality has been. Well, I mean, there aren't a lot of tigers left, for starters, and the ones that are left mostly are orange. We'll say that.
Mm-hmm.
So tigers have thick, powerful bodies with thick, powerful limbs. They have long, thin tails, and they have large heads with smallish, rounded ears, impressive mutton chops, and very long whiskers. So they look like they're about to write some 17th century legislation. Or, I don't know, run the oil business. Their eyes, the eye of the tiger is the thrill of the fight. They have circular pupils instead of those classic slit, like cat pupils.
Mm-hmm.
And they're yellow. And they have a skull.
Do you know
that's
why?
Why their pupils are like that, or why their eyes are yellow?
We might have already talked about this We talked about this. It's because when you're little, you need to look vertically. I mean horizontally. But when you're big, you don't need to do that. You need,
Oh yeah, I think
So,
when we
tigers are
covered the
big.
lion has circular pupils as well.
Yeah. And there's a little cat that we talked about. Or there's something weird that has the slit pupils too. I forget.
Yeah,
And then goats are square.
and
For no reason.
and also never looking in the same direction. So a tiger skull is similar to a lion skull, large cat skull. It has long teeth and a very powerful bite strength. Not the most powerful, but very powerful. So let's rehash the PSI bite strength table we have here. At the absolute top is the crocodile, 3,700 PSI. The hippo is at 1,800. The tiger is at a little over 1,000, 1,050, which is really strong. But I mean, one of the big things that we talked about the hyena for why we covered the hyena was because it has a really strong bite strength considering how small it is. It has 1,100 PSI bite. A lion only has 650 PSI, and that's pounds per square inch in its bite. So lions are weak chumps in my opinion. But you know who's even a weaker chump? The humans. It's 150 PSI. There's not too much.
Well, it shows you how much you need. So, like a lion is hunts in groups, so it has buddies. It doesn't need to be able to like deliver a killing crunch.
It would help.
Necessarily. It would help.
Jaguars also have really.
I mean, they can. They sure can. It's just not so overpowered.
Yes, and the hyena specifically eats bones. So it help. Like you absolutely need a pretty strong bite strength, and I'm sure we will have something to say about why the tiger has such a powerful bite strength over its slightly smaller cousin, the lion, when we get into the major fact. But like I said, this is the largest cat in the world. How big is it, Joe?
Welcome to the beloved Measure Up segment, the official listener's favorite part of the show.
So
the part of the show when we present the animal size and dimensions in relatable terms through a quiz that's fun for the whole family. It's also a part of the show that's introduced by you when you send in audio of yourself saying, singing, or chittering, or roaring. The words measure up into
or chuffing.
LDTaxonomy.com.
We'll talk about chuffing here in a bit.
We do not have a new measure up intro this week. So let's see if we can have the lion himself introduce this episode.
I'm sorry? The lion?
Yeah. Instead of the...
We just talked about how weak and pathetic lions are with their 650 PSI bite.
You know what? We'll have the tiger do it.
That's a good idea. I think you know what? I would have to agree with that one.
Definitely not picking the 6-minute video because there's going to be 20 minutes of talking in that one. Somehow. They're going to put in more minutes as time dilation.
Hi there, my name's Chet, and welcome back to Animals That I've Seen One Time.
All right. Without further ado, the listener's favorite part of the show. Fun fact. Do you have a fun fact about a lion roar or a tiger roar?
Outside of the fact that it can be heard up to 3 miles?
No, the lion roar can be heard. Can the tiger be heard that far? Because the lion,
Yes.
I know that about lions. Well, the MGM lion's roar is a tiger roar. Yeah.
Really? Yeah, that makes sense. Because whenever for some, now I'm putting it all together. Because what I just heard sounded like the MGM roar, but a lion's roar is that like one from the Lion King, like a more of a bear like growl almost.
Yeah.
Rather than this like sharp, quick snarl kind of thing.
Wait a minute. I'm seeing. Wait, is this a debunkable fact?
I don't know, but now that I'm thinking about the MGM lion roar, it does not sound like your normal lion roar, unless this is a sound that lions can make.
Okay, no, I'm seeing the MGM lion's roar is actually a tiger.
Yeah, a lion's roar sounds like a big yawn.
Most big cat roars in Hollywood are tiger roars. It's less to do with loudness and ferocity and more to do with the ferocity of the sound.
Yeah, a lion's roar does not sound that
Lion roars
intense.
are loud and rumbling. They sound a bit like thunder, but a tiger sounds something that wants to eat you. Yeah, okay. That makes sense.
That's interesting. I had not thought of that, but when I just heard the tiger roar, I was like, that sounds like a really quintessential roar that I've heard, and it's the MGM.
Oh yeah, that's a lion, yeah.
Yeah, occasionally at the Jacksonville Zoo, and I say that I talk about the Jacksonville Zoo a lot. One, because this is an animal podcast, and two, because I spend basically every single weekend there. A couple times we've had the lions just roaring like in this chorus, and they're right next to the Siamangs, which is these gibbons, and the gibbons are just losing their minds. Right?
Oh yeah.
So it's just this cacophony of animal sounds, and it's awesome. I've also camped at Lion Country Safari over near Tampa, or I think it's near Tampa. No, it's not near Tampa. It's
Port St. Lucie.
Port St. Lucie. And you can hear the lions roar at dusk from your tent, and that was awesome and also terrifying.
Yeah. So let's talk about their size, their length. They're 178 to 208 centimeters, or 70 to 82 inches, or if you want to actually know how big it is, 6.8 feet. Enough of these small potatoes dimensions. The largest tiger ever was killed in Manchuria in 1943 and measured 350 centimeters or 140 inches, which is 1.7 times the upper end of average.
Where did you are you not including the tail?
Oh yes, sorry, that's head and body length.
Okay, because I was getting much bigger measurements with the tail.
Oh yeah, the tails are long and add a few, probably like 3 feet. How long is a tiger tail?
I was getting about 10 feet with the tail.
Yeah. So we're talking about just the main animal, the mainland tiger.
Snout to vent.
Snout to vent.
Stem to stem.
6.8 feet. How many tigers go into the longest recorded golf drive?
How is this relevant to tigers?
Tiger Woods.
Oh my gosh!
But it's not Tiger Woods.
Boy. Gosh, I had a psychology teacher at my high school that he's such a golf fan, and when Tiger Woods was exposed to with his nefarious deeds,
he was sad.
He was absolutely devastated, and we spent several class periods talking about how terrible of a thing he's done and how all this stuff and how it doesn't change his records and stuff.
He cheated on his wife? Isn't that what he did?
Yeah. And
is this the first high-profile person that this guy has ever heard cheated on their wife?
I think it's because before then, like he seemed to be this like squeaky clean. I guess. I'm gonna be honest. I kind of tuned out every single thing that this teacher said.
We trusted you.
Could not care less about a golf champion. Like
we trusted you, Tiger. You let us down.
I was just more interested in the fact that this guy's name was Tiger Woods. Like, goodness gracious, what a name.
Here's a hint.
I feel like you need to be a Mandalorian if your name is Tiger Woods. There's Axe Wolves and Tiger Woods.
Well, here's a hint. The longest ever drive was achieved by Carl Cooper in 1992 at the Texas Open. The drive was so long that it put him past the green and earned him a double bogey, which is not good. In my book, though, a drive that sails past the hole and into the record books isn't a bad result.
I don't want bogeys for sure.
Not double of them.
No, especially if you're a fighter pilot. I really have. Wish I was paying a little bit more attention to people who were telling me about golf. 2 football fields feels like a really, really long distance to drive. 1 seems like pretty standard. So 2 seems like that would be record breaking. So I'm going to go with 200 yards. That seems not a lot. Because I've shot 200 yards and that was not like crazy. It was very far away, but it wasn't like, bullets go really far, right? 200 yards. And that's 600 feet. Divided by 6.8. 88.2 tigers worth of green fairway.
Final answer?
Yes.
The correct answer is 347 tigers.
Oh boy. I should have gone with my... I should have successfully second guessed myself.
The correct answer, the drive was 787 yards.
I wouldn't even.
Or 719 meters.
If I had gone up, I probably would have only gone up to 300 yards anyway. So
almost 8 football fields.
That is a really, really long distance. And
Mhm.
considering how far 200 yards is from like a rifle shooting perspective, I can't imagine trying to hit something that's over 700 yards away without like a super scope or something. Crazy.
Let's talk about weight. The Siberian tiger is the largest subspecies, but it's not a subspecies anymore. It's the largest regional iteration of the tiger. At 108 to 306 kilograms, or 397 to 675 pounds. How many average house cats go into the weight of a tiger?
Oh, this one's a little bit more doable.
Here's a hint. Cat weight varies by breed. But
You don't say.
But veterinarians have an agreement, a range of what a healthy cat would be. So we talked about Himi, which is the heaviest cat ever in our Wells catfish episode. And it is like maybe a 0.5% heavier than a regular healthy cat.
0.5% heavier. The heaviest cat ever is 0.5% heavier than the average cat.
Right. So like 100%. No, not 0.5%. It's heavier than it's like.
Of course, it's heavier than the average cat. It's the heaviest cat.
I think it was 5%, or not 5 pounds heavier.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
0.5 times. Sorry, not percent. That's what I meant to say.
Oh, it's doing time and a half. Let's say 8 pounds. Because cats are really light, on the most part. I like hang out on your shoulders and stuff, and they're not a burden. Except for they are to me, because I'd be breaking out into hives. What was the upper end? 600 and what?
675.
The answer is 84.3. My last answer was 88, so somehow we still landed in the mid 80s. The Thatcher years. 84.
Final answer?
Yes.
The correct answer is 67.5 cats.
Cats are fat. What are these, Garfield?
The average house... Now, you were at the lower end of the range. It's 8 to 12 pounds. But the average house cat is 10 pounds, or 4.5 kilograms.
Yeah, that's not a nursing school victory. No way it is. Dadgum.
So close.
Not really.
I mean, yeah, but like actually you were. You were in the regular house cat range. It's just that didn't work out. But that's all I got for that. Do you have any fast facts before we get into the major fact?
I sure do. So tigers used to live in many different areas. They're due to deforestation and hunting and superstitious people thinking that if you eat their hearts, you gain their power. They have tigers populations and their habitats have dwindled significantly over the past 100 years. They now live mostly in the jungles of Southeast Asia. So that is India, Nepal, Bhutan, Vietnam, Indonesia, Malaysia, Cambodia, Laos, Burma, Myanmar, China. I've probably missed some Southeast Asian countries that I didn't know off the top of my head. But they also live in Russia and Siberia because, well, Siberia, which is in Russia. Because there's this Siberian tiger. They mostly eat deer and boars, but they can take down larger game. But they're pretty opportunistic and will kill and eat pretty much anything they can get their furry paws on. Tigers are diurnal, and they have large territories where they hunt and mate. And these territories can be up to 1,500 square miles, but they also they have ranges where they'll travel outside of their territories, but they have a specific territory that they mark with various bodily fluids, and they will also defend it. Young males will either, when they become of age, they'll either find a swath of unoccupied land for their territory, or they'll travel through other males' territories until they can challenge. They're big enough to challenge someone for their territory. They will defend and fight for these territories, but most of the time comes down to intimidation. And if a male surrenders and kind of rolls over, he will usually be allowed to stay and stick around as long as he doesn't live too close, which is kind of easy when you have a 1,500 square mile territory. And it's like, yeah, that's a huge territory for one tiger to have. Of course, humans are going to come up into their habitat. Of course, everything is going to come up into your habitat. You've one tiger for 1,500 square miles. You think humans take up a lot of room because they need an acre. Agent Smith. I say it's the tigers that need to change. One thing that tigers do is they're a little bit more gregarious than other lions. They have complex relationships with other tigers, even though they're mostly solitary. They will sometimes share their kills with unrelated tigers, and they've been male tigers that kill something. They've been observed even allowing cubs to eat before them or while they're eating, which is something that lions never do. Cubs get the last of the stuff. The male lions that didn't even do the hunting get to eat everything, as much as they get to fill their bellies first. And we mentioned their roar. As for vocalizations, they have that trademark roar that can be heard up to 3 miles. But they also growl and snarl and hiss, and they do something called chuffing, which is like a mix of snorting and purring. And this is like a friendly, like playful sound that they make. And I'll leave it at that, because I actually did a bunch of extra stuff. And then I looked at what you wanted to talk about, and I was like, oh, it's hunting. So I'm going to go ahead and cross most of that out. But if there's anything here that you don't mention,
we'll revisit it at the end. So I'm going to call this one Spectre of the Sundarbans, because it's fun to say Sundarbans. Tigers are top predators in the animal kingdom. They are ambush predators, but they will also stalk and follow prey, and they will even chase down prey and have a better endurance than other cats like lions. So when an ambush fails, they may still get a meal. But I also at one point saw that like tigers have to get really close, but either way, they have the endurance to be able to do a short chase. When prey enters the water, it's bad news for the escapee. Tigers are at home in the water. They have webbed feet, and they can quickly outpace many land-dwelling prey species in a swim sprint. Like you said, they like to eat ungulates. Their favorite meat is held up by hooves.
Same.
But yeah, kind of, yeah. But like you said, they're opportunistic. They'll eat whatever they can kill, including dangerous game like sloth bears and crocodiles. And they have hunting success rates between 5 and 50%. That's a huge range.
That is not even statistically. That doesn't work. It's not.
But
it's
that
not,
means
it's not informative.
But that makes more sense when you put it into, like, that means it either takes a really skilled hunter will score a meal 1 out of every 2 hunts, which is good because, but a really not skilled tiger hunter will score a meal 1 out of every 20 hunts. So that makes sense. They probably were like the observing tigers, and they're like, that one gets like 1 out of every 2. That one takes like 20 times. So
It's 5 to 50%.
that's 5 to 50%.
Write that in the book, Jenkins. We're going home.
But it's good that they have a decent hunting success rate because they can eat as much as 90 pounds of meat in a sitting, which is like a large dog.
That's definitely, you get the steak for free if you do that at a at the Texas Steakhouse.
Tigers get their signature look from their hunting environment. They hunt in areas with tall grass and dense vegetation, which creates a lot of vertical lines, kind of like a tiger stripe. A common tree in India is the neem tree, which often grows leaves that dangle pointing towards the ground, which is perfect camouflage for a tiger. If you look up a picture and try to imagine, what if there was a tiger in that bush or in that tree? Would I be able to see it? The answer is no.
Well, my question is, why aren't they green? I feel like that would just be better. Like, same pattern, but just green.
What about in the fall and the winter?
But, like, the fall in equatorial India is not like, suddenly it's autumn. It's just the kind of dry season.
Well, what if you are hunting at dawn and dusk, which is probably true?
Then whatever orange light that's being cast from the sun that goes on the trees is the same light that's going to cast on you, turn you the same color.
Well, maybe the specific type of melanin that comes in orange is easier than the one that comes in green. In fact, that might not exist in mammals.
Well, I mean, I imagine it's like their prey probably doesn't see these colors very well, so it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, it means that humans can see them really well.
I don't know. I think that, like, in certain lightings, they would be hard to see. Well, it's just like leopards and stuff that are yellow, but it'd still be hard to see.
But they hunt in the Serengeti, which is like a lot of dried grass, and so leopards and lions and cheetahs blend in really well because their color matches their surroundings.
True.
Tigers.
But what about a jaguar?
That is a
lives in
good question.
The jungle.
Yes, jaguar.
And they're so elusive that, like, you can live right next to one and not see it.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, but like, yes, it's good camouflage, but I feel like it would
it's
just
good,
be better if it was
could
green.
Be better.
It's good, but it could be better.
Tigers kill using their claws and their 3.5-inch canines. It's a big tooth.
Or a small
but
dog.
They usually kill things by asphyxiation, which is where that bite force comes into play. They clamp down on their prey's throat. And this allows, they're just going to bite clean through smaller prey, but larger prey, that bite force can help keep that airway closed. So this allows tigers to kill things that are much bigger than they are, including the water buffalo. And they're one of the few predators that can kill an adult water buffalo alone. Water buffalo otherwise are pretty off the menu for the dhole, which is a competitor to the tiger in the tiger's territory.
A little African dog. Not African dog.
The Indian dog.
Indian dog.
Which tigers will, if they're one of those 1 in 20 tigers, they will also get a meal by stealing it from a dhole, which is sad for the dogs. But they can communicate with language, so I guess they have an advantage. Not actually with language, but with sounds that are similar to language. Go listen to the Dole episode. Tigers are also among the few predators that intentionally and regularly hunt humans. Tigers have killed more humans than any other big cat. And it's estimated that they kill an average of 1,800 people per year between 1800 and 2009.
That seems like that's as many tigers as there are.
So
every tiger goes on their Rumspringa every year and kills one human.
That's an average for that length of time. So there might have been some really crazy years in that are throwing off the average.
Okay, no, there are almost 4,000 tigers in the world, but still, that's a huge. That's a fourth of their population.
But we talked about statistics earlier, and bear in mind that this year, there weren't that many people killed by tigers. But between this, if you divide the number of times that people have been killed by tigers between 1800 and 2009 by the number of days in that period, it's 1,800 people.
Yes.
For the most part, man-eating tigers are old or sick or desperate or reacting to threats. However, in areas of Asia, including Kumaon, Garhwal, and the Sundarbans, healthy tigers will hunt down human prey intentionally and with gusto. The latter, the Sundarbans, is a mangrove swamp that's known for tiger attacks. If you wander into the forest there, you will become one of the 50 people they kill there each year. So don't go wandering into the mangrove forests of the Sundarbans.
I will cross that off my list.
So that like kind of makes me think that in areas where there's not a lot of retaliation against predators, because we always talk about how like predators like the big predators that we all know about, wolves and bears and tigers and lions, rarely ever go after humans on purpose unless they're in a bad spot. So maybe in areas where there's a lot of humans and they don't go after them and kill them after one becomes a man-eater, or they don't have the opportunity to do that, maybe predators would be more likely to kill humans. You always hear like they don't have a taste for it. What do you mean? They have a taste for everything else.
It's meat and blood. Of course they have a taste for it.
They just don't want to fight hard for it or risk,
Well, like a great white doesn't have a taste for it. It doesn't have a taste for humans.
Yeah. I guess a fish-eating shark literally might not have a taste for humans.
Or a seal. Well, I mean, I can't imagine how much different we taste than seals. We're not very fatty compared to seals for the most part. Maybe that's it.
Yeah.
I just don't think that like a great white shark is caring all that much about what their food tastes like.
I mean, I'll eat a license plate, but I won't eat a human.
You're thinking of a tiger shark, and tiger sharks will eat humans, and they're aptly named.
Fair enough. But that's all I got. Did you have anything else?
I saw that they fight with their paws, and they can break the skull of a cow or a sloth bear's back with one single strike.
Wow.
And there was one situation where a tiger was observed killing a gaur, which is a large, like, buffalo ox kind of animal in India, and it killed it and dragged it into a bush. And later on, 13 grown men could not manage to move the carcass themselves.
Wow.
That's how strong this tiger was. Moved it on its own. And their main method of attack is to leap at their prey and knock it off balance, just using all 600 pounds of them to slam into something and also bite onto its throat at the same time, knock it over, and then asphyxiate it.
Mm-hmm.
And then just hang on until it's dead, which is like, it seems risky. Asphyxiation seems like a really risky, extra crispy recipe. Because like when you're taking down like an ox, it might just lay on you or kick you or gore you the whole time you're just hanging onto its throat. So, but
yeah, the Jaguar's method seems to be the safest. Back of the head, crush the skull.
Yeah, but the jaguar doesn't have prey of this size, and the cheetah's method seems good, where it's like just open the jugular and then follow them. That's the cheetah oftentimes will just bite, will run up, catch the prey, bite, and then follow as the prey bleeds out, because they don't have very strong bite strength.
I have to believe the tiger on the throat is doing a lot of bleed damage as well.
Right, but there's I'm just imagining like this thrashing, extremely dangerous for the tiger period because of how big its prey is. And just hanging onto the throat seems like a recipe to get crushed. But clearly this is how it hunts. This is how it's successful. So by knocking its prey over in the first place, maybe that helps it, that prevents the prey from getting back up and then being able to roll over or something like that. Mm-hmm. There is... they also can have been seen going after young Indian elephants and Indian rhinoceroses. So they even make elephants their prey on their own. And there is a famous tiger known as the Champawat tiger, which was a tigress that was in Nepal. You mentioned this?
No, but I read about this.
Yeah, she was purportedly killed 430 people.
Yeah, those things are always like, maybe. Did you see why?
No.
Why she took to killing people is because she had debilitating tooth problems. So she couldn't take down regular prey. And so that is you've heard like once the man-eaters get a taste for human flesh, they won't stop. And I wonder if that's not like, it's delicious. It's more like, this is easy. Once they figure out it's easy to kill a human, if you time it right, then they won't stop. Because a lot of times it's these cats or animals that are sick or can't go after. They're desperate, so they're like, I wouldn't normally go after a human. They're always surrounded by other humans. You know, they kill people. They kill tigers and stuff like that. So I'm not going to go after that. But then you're like, they're here. I can't take down my water buffaloes anymore. So I'm going to have to try. And then this is easy. It's easy and it does a lot of damage.
And Peace Rock is exposed, which means, or is covered up by the rainwaters, which means that all the animals can kill each other again in the Jungle Book, and Shere Khan is on the loose. But like, if you're in that position where it's like I need to kill easy prey, I mean, you've got monkeys and birds and rabbits and porcupines and fish and dogs and like there's lots of animals in Southeast Asia that a tiger could kill, even if they can't
If
take
you're a
down
sick
an ox.
tiger or an old tiger, you might not be able to catch a monkey or a rabbit or even a dog. But you can kill like a domestic.
This tiger
ox.
just had tooth problems, so just don't eat things that are that tough,
Big.
like a monkey.
I don't know what the tooth problems were, like a broken tooth or like painful, diseased teeth. Because you can have like a tooth infection can affect your brain. I found out. I read once.
Gross.
Which is pretty scary. Brush your teeth.
Well, well, this is apparently the most attacks that any single wild animal, the most deaths that any one single wild animal has been responsible for. So I'm surprised the sequel,
The Ghost in the Darkness.
Yeah, I'm surprised that like Michael Douglas and Val Kilmer haven't reprised their role in the sequel. The Frosted and the Flakes.
That's pretty good.
Maybe the story's just not as interesting. Of like, how could that not be an interesting story? 430 people.
They just made a movie with Idris Elba about like lion attacks.
He just likes big cats.
They should have.
Speaking of Shere Khan.
Oh, that's true.
He plays. Idris Elba plays him. I like that movie. This is one of the only Disney remakes that I think is worth watching. And
I think there is a movie called Maneater that's about
this
a killer tiger. I wonder if it's about that. No, it's about a shark. Yeah, wait. There's two. There's another one about a tiger. Yeah. Oh, but it's like a zoo tiger that escapes.
For some reason, like I never really saw tigers as like these super dangerous animals in comparison to like a lion or a leopard or even a panther or something like that. For some reason, tigers,
because they're handsome cats.
Yeah, tigers just look so good. They're just sharp dressers. Anyway,
all right.
If that's all you got, then that was the tiger. It's a famous one. If you're out there in Podcastia, work on your chuffing, mark your territory, and always go for the throat, like Thor. I mean, tigers here in life, death, and taxonomy. I mean, the head. You should go for the head.
Hey Taxonomy Titans, I just want to remind you that we now have a Patreon. Patrons can see full video episodes and get shoutouts on the show. But ultimately, it's a way for you to help us cover some costs and get even better. Still, reviews are the best way to help us grow. So if you haven't left one yet, we'd really love to hear from you. As always, thanks for listening and engaging.
Life, Death, and Taxonomy is my favorite in the world podcast.
What is the real Tiger King? The answer? The Siberian tiger.